if you found out you were wrong about the impact on bikes that bikes have on the climate crisis,
Uh-huh.
would that change your behavior at all?
Yeah, I'd drive more because I think cars are awesome. Yeah.
All right.
No, I mean,
Cool.
I would drive free, be driving all over the place,
Okay.
and then I would drive somewhere and I would surf. I'd drive somewhere and do gigs, music gigs. I'd drive somewhere and do climbs. But instead, because we supposedly each get to make a difference, so abso-freaking-lutely, man, in fact, I'd probably get a hot car and not wear this crazy I definitely wouldn't wear this crazy outfit. I'd start hanging out with my future love, and we'd have a groovy time. We'd hang out on the beach.
Sound like the Puget Sound,
Uh-huh.
'cause that's where I'm based out of. Do you know
Okay.
where that is?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And epistemology is a fancy word that says, how do we know stuff?
Oh.
How do we know what we claim to know?
Ah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I've heard it so many times, but that's a very succinct definition. I appreciate that.
What's your name?
Stele.
Stele?
Uh-huh.
I'm David.
Hey, David.
Stele, how do you spell that?
Stele.
Okay. Are you okay if we record?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of course, that's what it's about, right?
All right. Stele. And you want to talk about bicycles and how they affect climate change?
Sure.
Okay. So, what are we claiming here? What's the claim that you want to explore?
That it's really kind to help save the future for the other life forms and kids and such. And one way to do that is to reduce the amount of fossil fuels that are drilled and taken out of our earth. And one way to do that is by riding a bicycle,
Okay.
because driving in a car creates a lot of CO2.
Gotcha.
And CO2, they say, warms the planet. And if there's one chance in 1,000 that all these big floods, hurricanes, and such are being monsterfied by climate change, then I want to do what I can to reduce the oil spills, the drilling, the international conflict over oil.
Okay. What percentage of bike riding affects the problem?
Every percent, 100% of bike riding over some other transportation wherein you would be using or burning fossil fuels would benefit the planet. So
Okay.
every time.
Okay. Maybe I can rephrase my question. The problem that we have is climate change, right? Or is that accurate so far?
As far as I know, I'm going by what scientists in every country except for Russia say.
Okay. So the problem is climate change. What percentage of riding bikes impacts that problem? You said it was 100%?
Well, if the choice is between taking a vehicle that would be using fossil fuels,
Okay.
or even if it's wear and tear on a larger vehicle or something, and you choose to ride a bike, and it reduces the use of gasoline, diesel fuel, even electricity, then every mile that you would be riding a bike.
Okay, I think I understand now. You're saying every time somebody chooses to ride a bike versus drive a vehicle that uses fossil fuels,
Right.
every time that you make that choice,
Woohoo! Every single time.
that impacts it.
Right. And the average gallon of gasoline not burned helps save about 8 square meters of habitat potential somewhere in the world for 1 year.
Okay, gotcha.
So every gallon of gasoline you don't burn, you help potentially save 8 square meters of habitat or reduce the amount of habitat we are occupying. One of the two, either the loss of or the reclaiming of habitat.
So generally speaking,
Yes.
fossil fuels are not using vehicles that burn fossil fuels or not. Just generally speaking, what impact does bike riding have on the problem? Just generally.
Well, every amount of warming in our system makes the weather screwier and more violent. It makes the variation in the jet stream like really wavy, so big blobs of cold can come down later in the summer, and big blobs of heat can go up, and that lazy weather pattern, because everything is warming up instead of having real cold at the top and the bottom, we're warming everything up, and the cold that occurs in the north and the south, it gets knocked out of whack, and it just can mess up the agricultural system massively. It can create hurricanes, it can amplify even tornadoes, and it can create international political stress, because when resources are depleted or having to be fought over because there were sudden losses of crops, or it gets a lot colder and then it gets hotter, or there's destruction by floods or wildfires, that destabilizes societies and destabilizes the economy, increases inflation, increases conflict, increases the chance of conflict between communities and countries.
You're talking about how climate change works and its effects on society.
Yes.
If we had a pie chart,
Yeah.
and a piece of this pie was...
We have a pie chart. Yes, right there.
Yeah.
We got one.
A real one. One of the pieces is no fossil fuel use. Okay? Let's say that's one of the pieces.
Well, we can't do that, but sure. Okay.
We're just building a pie chart here.
Oh, sure.
How big of the piece of pie would that be as far as its impact on the problem? No fossil fuels at all. We're not talking about bikes, we're not talking about walking, we're just talking about no fossil fuel use at all. How big of that piece of the pie would that take up?
Well, that will not occur, and we will need fossil fuels for a long time. But if, under an ideal situation...
Yeah, just a hypothetical.
Yeah, this is hypothetical,
Right.
Because I'm not calling on that. We're not calling on 100%.
Right.
Because we don't want to... We're not that extreme. We don't want that much. But anyway, if you suddenly stop burning fossil fuels entirely, our climate system would be able to stabilize in 10, 12, 14 years. Some say it's hundreds of years, but it turns out that some studies have shown that within a few years, not all studies show this, but some show that we would very rapidly make a difference, at least to the degree of 95%. There would be 5% left over, like the half-life of a toxin or something in the blood or something like that, there will still be lingering problems because of it.
Okay.
But we will take a big chunk out of that problem.
Okay.
So
Big chunk.
so if you were going to say what it would do, if you want to say 90%.
Okay. 90.
Yeah, over a 15-year period, let's say. Yeah.
Okay. So 90% of the problem is fossil fuel use. Would that be accurate? Is that kind of what you're saying?
90% of the heating caused by humans
is fossil fuel use. Okay. So, and I don't want to get too complicated here, but this will help me understand the part about bikes.
All right, great.
We have this piece, and this is all the fossil fuel use. What percentage of that would be is affected by bike use? So what part of this 90% is affected by bike riding?
That is, I do not have that in my notes right now. I do not know. Yeah.
Okay.
The amount of, I don't know. Let's say transportation is, I kind of guessing here, but let's say transportation is a third of the problem.
Okay. Transportation in general, using every kind of transportation.
Right.
Buses, cars, bike riding, walking.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if you've got 1/3 of it is, and I'm guessing that's the number, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But if it's 1/3, then both of us could probably make an equally pull it out of our ear guess of what that would be. It might be 5%. But as we know, 5% of anything, of certain toxins, mercury, alcohol, all kinds of things in our bodies, in the atmosphere, all that, 5% is a big deal. That 5% is life and death in many ecosystems and many physiological, way over in fact, way over. So
and just so I'm clear, you're saying bike riding takes up 5% of the transportation?
No.
Or 5%?
We could remove 5, 10, 15% of the transportation if more people.
The effects. Okay.
I'm guessing.
5%.
I'm totally guessing here. So
sure.
So I mean, if I were told to research this before this get together.
Okay.
But I didn't research those numbers.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going back to the average American gets to decide if 75,000 square meters thrives, withers, or dies every year. So, irregardless of the overall impact, whether or not this would save the planet or help it live or whatever, every American on average, according to carbonfootprint.org, I believe that's the one, gets to decide if 18.5 acres thrives, withers, or dies every year. So, irregardless of my impact on the whole planet, I also know that by riding my bike, all kinds of creatures, kids, musicians, lovers, all kinds of life forms will live longer and thrive, more likely to thrive, by riding my bike. No matter what anybody else does or does not do, I get to decide on 7.5 hectares. It's really awesome. It's fantastic. So for those people who are saying it's too late, you got to get to corporations, whatever, you get to decide yourself. You, if that were the whole world, 75,000 square meters, you wouldn't be complaining about what other people were or were not doing. You'd say, whoa, I'm living on this world with 75,000 square meters. You do all the awesome stuff you could do, so your 75,000 square meters, which is all spread around the world, by the way, it is out there. you get to decide how it thrives. And that's awesome. All kinds of life forms, all kinds of peeps, all kinds of things. Manta rays, zebras, mountain goats, worms, bugs, ticks, bacteria, lovers. Lots of lovers out there.
What do you suppose is the most effective thing that can be done about the problem?
I have no idea, but I can say a few. One is not to take a job with a company that's killing our planet. The other one is to donate, volunteer, and help people get elected that are impacting the laws and enforcing the laws that we have. We would be toast today. You and I would not be having this awesome time in this awesome place with these awesome tulips and beautiful peeps, by the way. Yeah, great scenery. If hundreds of millions of people hadn't fought hard and helped protect their 75,000 square meters.
Cool. Well, thanks for stopping and talking to us.
Sure.
Anything else you want to say?
Well, what do you think? What's your take on bicycles and us being responsible for our...
I think riding a bike is probably the best way to see an area versus...
Oh, touristically?
Yeah.
All right.
Because...
sure. I'll go for that.
Yeah, instead of kind of riding around in an enclosed box, like you don't get all the information that you would by riding a bike. I used to ride to work every day.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do it now.
I'm on a U.S. tour.
Yep.
That it would be really hard to do on my bike. But I appreciate the folks that, like you, that choose, whether they think that they're having an impact or not,
Right.
doing it anyway.
Well, then if you're driving and burning a lot of gasoline, donate every week to some project to carbon offset some or all of your fossil fuel use.
1 second. I want to be able to hear what you're saying.
Hey.
So yeah, if you're asking what I think that's awesome what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, so what I was saying is, since you're driving, what everyone can do is pick an organization team that they can donate to carbon offset some or all of their fossil fuel use, and announce it to their friends and others. Say, hey, maybe this week I couldn't carbon offset all of it. It should be about 16 cents on the average dollar spent on your tour, by the way. Should be...
What's the number again?
16 cents.
Okay.
The average, about 16 to 24 cents is what we should be giving back on the average net income dollar that we spend. So that's according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
That we spend on fuel?
On anything in life. In general, the carbon footprint of the average dollar is about 24%.
I see what you're saying.
So as you travel, if you want to pay your share, say, hey, I'm buying this gas, I'm buying these parts, I'm buying this food. If you give back about 24% to 44%, which is incredible, it's a ridiculous ask, but if we are going to make it, we're going to have heroes. Because without heroes going to hero level, we are not going to make it.
Would be an example of a hero in that way?
Someone who dedicated 44% of their time, which would be about 19 and a half hours a week, helping a candidate get elected, or helping people put in front yard gardens, or getting all your town to use a clothesline, getting people on bikes, getting people elected, spending the time and the money investment, because the fire is very close to our house right now. A UN chief just stated a week and a half ago that we may have 2 years to prevent a tipping point, a couple tipping points, and that would create a situation where climate change was just not reversible and we'd be toast. Some say 6 months. So it was 6 months ago, but we made a lot of progress actually with the climate bill that we got through, the Youth Climate Corps, and a lot of advancements we made. We actually kind of gained some time. It was really awesome because of a bunch of heroes. So those are a few examples. You pick an area that reduces the use of fossil fuels and say, I'm going to dedicate 24 to 44% of my time so that there's less chance of civil war. So there's actually less chance of nuclear war. You know, both Ukraine and the Israeli conflict are also resource related. You know, lack of water, you know, lack of wheat from Russia, the collapse of their agricultural system. If everybody had enough in both sides, there would be no reason to attack another side. Usually. And so it's a resource wars. Earth wars are going to increase greatly if we don't reduce the conflict over resources, make the weather better, more stable, so that political systems, so that societies are more stable and don't feel like they're losing out or going to die, that they're being choked.
A couple more questions.
Sure.
Um, how do you respond to folks that claim that it's kind of, what's the word? People are using like scare tactics, or like a fear hyperbole, and that the situation is not as bad as we think it is.
Okay, in that case, I'd say if there's one chance in 1,000 they're right, don't really worry about totally whether it's hyperbole or not. But if there's one chance in 1,000 that some of those scientists' severe predictions are correct, you just say, hey, life is good. I'm not going to worry about whether totally they're right or not. But I know that fossil fuel, oil spills are bad, resource conflicts are bad, that it causes asthma. You could just say, overall, it's not going to be negative. So you don't have to fight with yourself. You just say, would it benefit our world by burning less fossil fuels? Full stop. Would it? And you say, yes, it would. And I'm not going to say whether or not, even if there's may not be climate change, even if there isn't climate change, per some people saying this, we're acidifying the oceans. So even if they're over exaggerating the climate change issue, the oceans are getting too hot, and the oceans make our oxygen. And we're losing the coral reefs and the oxygen of making ability. And so it doesn't matter whether or not the planet has got climate change going on, the acidification of the ocean and the heating of the ocean is putting us at risk too. Don't even have to believe in climate change. The loss of the oceans, major freaking deal. So my deal is hey, it's like insurance. I don't know if this plane's going to go down, but I'm paying the insurance a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to crash this time. I'm going to go to this party, but you're paying the insurance. So, and you worry less about it, and you just act more. You just act and say, now I'm not going to worry freaking about it.
Are you open to the climate crisis being like over, like too much hyperbole? Like, are you open to it not being as bad as we think it is?
Oh, I hope that it isn't. I hope that the reports are wrong. So I totally hope that it's wrong. And if it's wrong, no harm done, because it just means less fossil fuels, less asthma, means less particulates in the air. It means more of the water stays in our watershed. because of the particulates, black particulates that collect on it and melt it too fast and stuff like that. All the benefits of less cancer, less mental illness because of the burning of fossil fuels. There's so many other reasons as well. So I'm open to it. Yeah, totally. I want it to not exist, and I hope suddenly they say, hey, it doesn't exist. It's all turning around next week, the climate system. I go, totally good. Yeah, I worked and I kept the air better. I made sure that less animals had to be tortured in agricultural farms, because that's a climate action too, is eating plant-based. And so I did a lot of things that, even if it's not heating up, the number of hundreds of benefits of not drilling in precious places where they have to shoot off guns to scare the animals away so that they don't land in the ponds and be poisoned, where the birds, up where they do the tar sands and other places, they have the settling ponds. They have these little guns that go boom, boom, to scare the birds away so that they don't land in these ponds. There's just so many things about leaks in the rivers, And, during the pandemic, we reduced our emissions 17%. And people were still kind of having a groovy time. I mean, we're using a lot of other communication methodology and such. It wasn't all peaches and cream, but we weren't drilling and pumping as much and burning as much. And we were living more sustainably because we burn like 100 times more in the US than some countries. And the people, we see pictures of them and they're smiling. They're doing their thing. They may not have all the toys and fun stuff as much, throwaway stuff and all that. And it may look like, oh, I'm glad I don't live like that. But a lot of them are still smiling. Smiling, have their families, doing things. Harder, but surviving.
Yeah.
And not jinxing our future with the possible collapse of our...
Okay, so last question would be...
Awesome.
If you found out you were wrong about the impact on bikes that bikes have on the climate crisis, would that change your behavior at all?
Yeah, I'd drive more. Because I think cars are awesome. Yeah.
All right.
No, I mean, I would drive free, be driving all over the place.
Okay.
And then I would drive somewhere and I would surf. I'd drive somewhere and do gigs, music gigs. I'd drive somewhere and do climbs. But instead, because we supposedly each get to make a difference. So, abso-freaking-lutely. Man, I'd probably get a hot car and not wear this crazy I definitely wouldn't wear this crazy outfit. I'd start hanging out with my future love. And we'd have a groovy time. We'd hang out on the beach.
It sounds like your, what's the word? Your quality of life might improve if you drove.
Oh, I could have more fun, yes. I'm doing a lot of work so that we have less of a chance. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I could. If I burn more fossil fuels, I could have more fun, yes.
Okay.
But I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, it's still a very groovy life.
Okay.
But it would be a groovier life to be at travel and rock climb awesome places, go on awesome dates and go to concerts in Denver all the time and stuff like that. But I don't because of the supposed very probable impact of burning fossil fuels.
How could you find out if you were wrong about that? Not saying that you are, just saying if you were, how could you find out?
A statement by the IPCC, all the scientists in the world. Yeah, a statement by even a small group of scientists saying, we found out there's this new study, the momentum is, we've got this thing, your work. I mean, I've worked on it for 50 years.
Would one of those studies be enough for you to go out and get your car and do all the other things that you...
If it were peer reviewed and quite a revolutionary study, and and supported by journalists who also said, yeah, wow, and there were no holes in the study.
That would be enough for you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be lovely. I'd have a blast. I'd start traveling and do a YouTube channel or something like that.
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
Thanks for stopping, Stele.
Yeah,
That was great. Any feedback on
takes
the
great to know
conversation?
great.
It's really coming down.
What's that?
Any feedback on the conversation?
Thanks for interviewing people about how to make our work, help make our world a more peaceful world, more stable, politically, environmentally, ecologically, so that we can all keep partying more. Because I'm really into partying, and I want to keep partying, and so I want to thank you for. In fact, anytime you do an interview that call on people to take actions to benefit our planet, send me a link, and I'll send you a few bucks to thank you for sharing that, and then I'll share it on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's my feedback, is as many of these as we can do to cheer on the peeps, cheer on the team, to keep doing work that will reduce the burning of that stuff, the wastefulness. I'm for it.
Well, thanks again. Do you have any questions that you wanted to ask? Maybe I didn't. Okay. Cool.
Okay, cheers. Hey, guys, I want to give you something real quick. Award this to him after his first week of dedicating 44% time and money with any team, any project, any organization that helps save our planet. And you award this one back to him.
Okay.
And so my challenge, my request is dedicate 44% of your time and money this week in some way that encourages people to help our planet, and tag Exo Earth. And we have
19 hours a week.
19 and a half hours a week. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a ridiculous amount. Actually, it's just totally ridiculous. But we're in a ridiculous situation. And if we're going to get out of the ridiculous situation, we're not going to be able to say, let's see, how much time do I have to... that fire's coming really close to my house. I'm going to make... Okay, I'll make 20 minutes. I'll give 20 minutes to stopping that fire. No, you get on board. You say, hey, I like this life. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to jump in. All right, I'm going to be my hero self. Yeah, so then you be your hero self so you can then chill and have the party time.
Thanks so much.
All right, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Steele's the name, exoearth.org.
Do you want one of these puzzle pieces?
I appreciate, no.
Okay.
But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the idea is each time you have a conversation with us, you get another piece.
Oh,
Build out the whole set, just to kind of remind you of the conversation.
oh, okay. Sure.
But yeah,
Maybe later.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool beans. Your name is, I didn't ever.
David.
David.
Yeah.
Chad. All right. David and Chad, honored to meet you guys.
Thanks again.
And let's make the world a better place.
Sounds good.
Cool beans.
Have a safe ride.
Yeah. Would you? Oh, do you have
On your channel, it has something about Texas.
That's where I was last. That was the last state I was in.
No, it said something about texting in English or something.
Oh yeah, that's kind of an old series that I had with. So I was born in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
So some people call me Tex, and people will ask, why do people call you Tex? I say so that people won't think I'm from Alabama.
That's word.
So that's part of the reason why that's on there. But yeah, So there's a survey that our community developed, and that series is me and my English friend going through the survey together. So a Texan and an Englishman
Yeah.
do
I
a
just
survey.
saw that.
Yeah, that's a quick explanation of what that's about.
I've never seen the channel, so I just saw it as I scanned it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting series. Most of the interviews that I have on there are like this, where I interview somebody about something that they think is true, or if there's a problem, they think they have the solution, why they think their solution is a good solution, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I tried to think of what my meaningful would be if I talked to you, and I know what it would be.
Yeah, something that you think is true about the world that we share. Something that if you found out was not true would affect your behavior. That kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know it's Stele.
Yeah.
He's been doing that for as long as I've known him.
Oh, you're friends?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
neighbors too.
Small world.
It is. Small town.
Yeah. Did you want to do an interview?
I could.
Okay. Seats open.
So, if you post my article and you have a donation
Post
thing,
your interview, you mean?
if you put this interview on your website,
On my channel? Yeah.
I'll send you a few bucks to thank you.
You don't have to do that, but I'll do that anyway.
Well, that way, and so the reason is because I want something to share.
Uh-huh. Gotcha. In every description box of all of the recent interviews I've had, there are links to how you can donate and other information in case you want to look more into it.
All right.
So I'll send you there, and then you can do whatever you want from there.
Yeah, sure. So do you need my contact information at all? Or?
That, or did you scan that already?
Uh,
Okay.
my phone is the scanner right now isn't working.
Oh, okay. I can just write down the channel,
Okay,
and then you can look it up later, and then you can.
sure.
Um,
I just took a picture of it, so
okay.
of that thing. If I do,
So, street epistemology is the practice that we
Right.
went through. Sound epistemology is my channel's name. So it's like my expression of this practice. So I'll write that down for you.
I can remember that.
Sound epistemology?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then my email address is soundepistemology@gmail.
Well, good. Okay.
So yeah, if you want to send me an email and yeah, you need more information.
Good. That was fun. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was big.
Cool. We'll see you around.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they don't.
All right, go for it, buddy.
Yes. You done?
I don't know.
We're still here. We're still talking.
Oh,
It's all right. I'll sit down.
Cool. And are you okay if we record?
Sure.
Okay.